We will stop at nothing until every child, no matter where they live, no matter their religion or class, identity or gender, until every girl can go to school. We raise our hands for education.
We got a real reason to celebrate and anticipate, Every day we're working our way to freedom. We're not gonna wait, not gonna wait. So we're not ever wasting no time. I drink a party, and we're not gonna change our minds. We'll find a way. I'm gonna make something of my life. I can deny it. I know I can reach the highest of heights. Raise your hands, build the future you need. Raise your hands. I wanna hear your voice from the back. Come on, sing it. Raise your hands. Let's go. Make the change that you need. Raise your hands. Come on. 1, 2, 3, go.
Anything you do, make sure you do it right. Just believe that it will make you come alive. And together we can help to shine the light. We can shine the light. Hola, hola, hola. Bingelela bonga makhule kanzima. Bingelela bonga madonse kanzima. Get to go. Touch the stars. When we raise our hands, it is to reach the highest point. Education for all, education for all.
You need education, they grenade for your information, they grenade for your emancipation, they grenade. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Any good you do, you know it's worth the fight. Just believe and it will make you come alive. Oh, there's the light inside every child.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Youth-Led Futures Festival 2023. My name is Temilade Salami. I am a GPA leader from Nigeria, and I am thrilled to be one of your moderators for this exciting event. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to our event. We have an amazing hour ahead of us, filled with inspiration, actions, and a chance to connect with your fellow amazing attendees. I am now going to pass the mic to Aisha. Raise your hand.
Thank you so much, Timilade. My name is Aisha, and I am a GPE youth leader from Canada, and I'm so thrilled to be here today as one of your co-moderators. So to start us off, I'm pleased to introduce some remarks from President Kikwete, former president of the United Republic of Tanzania and current GPE board chair. After his remarks, we have a video message from the former UN Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon.
Well, I'm delighted to be delivering this message today at the Futures live stream, GPE's flagship youth-led event to mark the International Children's Day. Young generation has inherited some of the biggest challenges our planet has ever seen, from the climate crisis to conflicts and inequality. Children and young people are the least responsible, but most impacted. Yet you are fighting for change. I fully support your 10-point plan for the future. I thank GPE youth leaders and all youth activists for raising your hands for education. I hope you will continue to advocate for action. Your voices truly matter. To the leaders of the world, my message is this: education is the greatest investment we can make. As demands on our education systems grow, financing to education must keep up. Our fast-growing young populations are a beacon of hope for the future. We must prioritize their education to pave the way for more peaceful, prosperous, and greener societies. This movement belongs to all of us. Let's work together to ensure every child, everywhere, can learn safely and equally. Thank you.
His Excellency President Jakaya Kikwete, GP Chair, youth leaders, ladies and gentlemen, and dear global citizens, I'm honored to join you alongside my good friend, former President of Tanzania, President Kikwete, and so many inspiring young people on this World Children's Day. During my time as UN Secretary General, I was continually inspired by the impact young people can have when you speak up for your rights, for your planet. You, as a young education activist, have the expertise and experience to push global and local leaders to act. We must remember that every child has a right to learn safely, and education has the power to transform societies, drive gender equality, and build skills for the future. This is why I support the 10-point plan for the future that you are launching today. In this regard, I am proud to commit to advocate for your timely proposals for education on the global stage, from inclusion and accessible systems to gender equality, climate justice, and beyond. It is critical for decision makers and key stakeholders to protect, prioritize, and increase education financing. Because each and every UN Sustainable Development Goals leads back to quality education. Without it, we will simply not be able to achieve our common goals for a better future for all. We are now a few weeks away from COP28, and I am glad to see that the United Arab Emirates is putting education, skills, and youth on the center stage. I encourage world leaders and governments to support Education Climate Declaration ahead of COP28 in order to commit to action on mitigation, adaptation, and investment. We must remember there is no planet B. Dear youth leaders, ladies and gentlemen, global citizens, I firmly believe that climate-smart education systems are crucial for cultivating the sustainability-minded leaders of the future. As such, I am very happy to see the Global Partnership for Education, GPE, supporting partner countries with both funding and critical capacity building. This demonstrates how your generation is paving the way for transformational change, and mine has the responsibility to support you in your noble efforts. I stand with you, GP youth leaders and young activists from across the world, and applaud your leadership. Thank you for your active efforts in forging a more sustainable, inclusive, peaceful, and equitable world for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Kikwete. And yes, education is the greatest investment we can make. Also, thank you, Ban Ki-moon, for highlighting that every child has the right to learn safely, and also for supporting our 10-point plan. In the midst of multiple global challenges, youth leaders like us have seen and experienced how fragile our educational systems can be. Nevertheless, we have also identified the untapped potential that education has to help solve these problems. After months of consultations, we came up with a 10-point plan for the future. I will now invite you, a GPU leader from Canada, to present the 10-point plan. Now you have the floor, Ju.
Thanks, Timolandi and Aisha. Truly, we have come a long way to this day, and we're excited to be here together and joined by many across the globe. I would like to first thank all the youth leaders, education advocates, climate champions, we see you, and the friends of the youth activists for their time, their experiences, and their ideas over the last few months of consultations. I recall many of you attended our meetings at the subway stations, at the airports, and even many from the refugee camps with very poor internet connections. We value your sacrifices, and we continue to say, be with us as we move the world to push these 10-point plans that I will be speaking about to be realized very soon. I know many of you also attended at the weird hours of the night due to time differences, and these are experiences that have interconnected us as young people across the world and have deepened our understanding of the world's disproportionate and fragile education system. Today, on the World Children's Day, young education activists with a united and shared voice demand equitable access to quality education to transform every young person's life. In our lifetime, we have seen crises from conflict, from wars, from climate change, and COVID-19. Some of us have been very lucky to study during this crisis, while some of us, especially in the global south, have had to give up on our dreams of education. While echoing the Youth Declaration at the Transforming Education Summit and the conversations of the UN SDG Summit, we have experienced the transformative power of education, and we do not want any young person left behind. Ahead of the African Union Year of Education, we are using GPE Youth Leaders Future live stream to remind you of our 10 priorities for the future that have been marched into 10-point plan. Good intentions are never enough, and we know you can do better. We urge government leaders, the private sector, the civil society organization, the international development partners, and other education stakeholders to fund education as a non-negotiable, sustainable, and innovative investment by at least investing 10 or 15% of ODA to education priorities and protecting domestic budgets for education. We'd like you not to let school children go hungry by prioritizing school meals, integrating education, nutrition in education, and signing national commitments for universal access to nutritious meals. Dear world leaders, may you build education systems that promote climate justice. We really demand climate smart systems that incorporate indigenous knowledge, resources, and ensure quality learning despite climate events like drought and floods. May you make education inclusive and accessible for all. We ask decision makers to prioritize the inclusion of people with disabilities and build accessible, well-resourced schools. We as youth leaders would like you to put gender at the center. Invest in safe, resilient, and gender transformative education that ensures inclusive participation of boys and girls and protects us from gender-based violence. May you not let crisis stop learning. We urge world leaders to secure continuous learning pathways for refugees and displaced children and youth in crisis-affected regions. May you prioritize our well-being by integrating mental health services into education, ensuring support for marginalized students. We would like you to decolonize education. We demand that curriculum, teaching, and community engagement reflect the views and essence of the indigenous population. May you prepare us for the digital future of work. Our schools should foster critical thinking, effective communication, and collaborative problem solving while engaging us in technological advancement. May you ensure meaningful youth participation and engagement. We demand prioritization and representation in governance, mentorship, and policy evaluation. Dear world leaders, this is the young people's 10-point plan, not 10 points plans. It can only be achieved as a package. Hear our voices, raise your hand, and help us brighten our futures through education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dia, for beautifully presenting something that we've worked on so hard for some time now. I really want to echo your last point that all of these issues need to be treated as a package. We're seeing how conflict, climate change, displacement, and gender equality are intimately connected and affect children's right to education. It's clear that our youth leaders want synergetic action across these areas. Now I'm excited to invite Nesmi Manigat, the Minister of Education and Vocational Training in Haiti, to reflect on the 10-point plan and speak about actions his government is taking on the highlighted education priorities. Thank you, Minister, for joining us.
Bonjour. Je suis heureux de participer à cette rencontre sur l'avenir des enfants et des adolescents et des jeunes en cette journée mondiale de l'enfance. En tant que ministre de l'Éducation d'Haïti, un pays où plus de la moitié de la population a moins de 20 ans, je renouvelle la déclaration de la jeunesse lors du sommet sur la transformation de l'éducation et sur les objectifs de développement durable. Je salue l'engagement des jeunes leaders du GPE et leurs 10 priorités pour l'avenir. Ainsi, je profite de cette occasion pour partager avec vous les réflexions de mon pays, Haïti. Ne pas laisser les crises arrêter l'apprentissage est le plus grand défi de mon pays, où les élèves ont perdu l'équivalent d'une année scolaire au cours de ces 4 dernières années à cause de l'instabilité politique, COVID-19 et les désastres naturels. Aussi, tous les efforts sont concentrés pour combler ces enseignements et apprentissages perdus par tous les moyens, et surtout pour créer un système résilient qui résiste mieux à ces chocs. Je profite aussi de cette occasion pour remercier tous nos partenaires, et en particulier le GPE, Education Cannot Wait, l'UNICEF et la BID, qui nous ont permis de mettre en place un système no-tech, low-tech et high-tech pour s'assurer de la continuité éducative à travers la radio, la télévision et des applications numériques en ligne et hors ligne. C'est difficile, mais ça marche. Comme samedi, dimanche, des cours de rattrapage ont lieu et des élèves reçoivent des documents de travail en ligne et vont jusqu'à recevoir leur diplôme de baccalauréat légalisé en ligne. Financer l'éducation en faveur des enfants est aussi un grand enjeu. Financer l'éducation pour les adolescents et les jeunes est le plus grand investissement qu'un pays puisse faire pour former une génération inspirée, acteurs de changement dans les pays réflectifs et au niveau de la planète, comme vous, jeunes leaders. Aujourd'hui, plusieurs crises mondiales menacent de retirer le focus sur le premier des investissements. En Haïti, la triple crise sanitaire, sécuritaire, climatique représente un défi de tous les jours. À ce sujet, en attendant d'atteindre au moins les 20% du budget national, nous faisons tout pour qu'au moins les dépenses publiques d'éducation ne continuent pas de baisser en valeur absolue et surtout pour améliorer la qualité des dépenses qui souvent n'arrivent pas dans les salles de classe des endroits reculés. Cette année, Haïti et ses partenaires ont investi pour que tous les élèves des 2 premières années du primaire reçoivent un livre et un cahier d'exercice gratuit dans la langue parlée par la majorité du pays, le créole haïtien. Cet effort se poursuivra l'année prochaine pour les 3e et 4e années. Chers jeunes leaders, c'est la meilleure façon de décoloniser l'éducation. Par ailleurs, Haïti souscrit aussi à la lutte contre l'insécurité alimentaire par la mise en place d'une nouvelle politique et stratégie nationale d'alimentation scolaire avec plusieurs partenaires, dont le GPE. À travers les fonds multiplicateurs, nous venons de mobiliser des financements importants pour le secteur de l'éducation, dont plus de la moitié est dédiée à l'alimentation scolaire, basée sur les produits frais et les produits locaux. Haïti a rejoint en 2022 la Coalition mondiale pour l'alimentation scolaire, qui demande de garantir l'accès universel à des repas nourrissants pour tous les enfants. Pour résumer notre expérience, si des contraintes rendent difficile l'augmentation des dépenses publiques, il devient aussi urgent d'optimiser le rendement des montants disponibles en ciblant des investissements qui augmentent l'autonomie et le potentiel des élèves. Chers jeunes leaders, Haïti salue votre engagement en faveur d'une éducation inclusive et accessible à tous. Nous venons de rendre public notre nouveau cadre d'orientation curriculaire qui rend graduellement obligatoire le préscolaire et qui tient compte de la diversité des profils des apprenants, en particulier des filles, notamment en révisant des manuels à caractère sexiste. Au niveau des infrastructures, il est désormais interdit en Haïti de construire des écoles sans rampe scolaire pour les élèves à mobilité réduite. Notre direction de santé scolaire est devenue une direction de bien-être scolaire qui prend en compte davantage les aspects liés à la santé mentale, à la discrimination en tout genre à travers des conventions avec des associations nationales de psychologues, des travailleurs sociaux, afin de prévenir davantage la violence en milieu scolaire. Pour finir, chers jeunes leaders, Haïti souscrit pleinement à votre plaidoyer et se fera le devoir de s'en inspirer, de les relayer afin que les valeurs d'un monde de progrès pour tous et de plus d'humanité deviennent réalité. Je termine en disant que la question la plus importante n'est pas de savoir quel monde nous allons laisser aux prochaines générations, mais quelle prochaine génération nous allons laisser à nos pays et au monde. Après avoir lu votre plaidoyer en 10 points, j'ai confiance et à nouveau, je lève la main. Merci.
Thank you so much, Minister. It is so encouraging to hear about the actions that you are already taking on the youth priorities that we have presented. And it's also really encouraging that our collective voice is being heard by leaders like you. So thank you again. Now, I'm pleased to begin our first intergenerational beachside chat focused on financing education to mitigate connected crises. We are honored to be joined by Laura Frigenti, CEO of GPE, Jeanette Mbugwa, a GPE champion from Kenya, and finally Neha Ola, a fellow GPE youth leader from Denmark. Welcome to you all, and thank you so much for joining us. To start us off, I'd like to invite Neha to speak to us about her perspective on the importance of investing into education. I'll pass the mic to you, Neha.
Thank you, Aisha. And I believe this topic of why funding in education is important. I can talk on this topic for many hours, but keeping the time limit in mind, I would like to highlight the crucial reasons why I believe funding in education is important. And I think those are economic growth, equal opportunities, and societal well-being. It shapes a skilled workforce, fosters innovation, and promotes informed citizens. Adequate funding ensures not just academic success, but also overall well-being, social harmony, and environmental awareness. In short, investing in education is an investment in a brighter, more sustainable future for individuals and society. Now I would like to pass the mic on to you, Laura, and ask, why is investment in education important, given the current interconnected crisis around the world?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure to be with you today on this very important symbolic day and to see so much energy around this virtual room and so many familiar faces. I think that you know intuitively why investing in education is important, and this is the reason why all of you are here. All of you have been working at defining your top 10 priorities. And I like to believe that it's not accidental that education, is listed as your priority number one. Education is foundational, as you, Neha, said, to the well-being of each and every society. It is foundational because it offers individual opportunities for people to improve and have a better future, but it's foundational also because it creates a more equitable, a more stable, a more balanced society with stronger institutions, with more democratic processes, etc. And I would say that in these times of so much turmoil globally, and it is very sad that we are here today celebrating this important event on a moment where really there is so much for us to mourn about, I would say. I think that education is so important because it allows everybody to actually grow your own independent assessment of situations and define your own understanding of why things are happening. And it allows you not to be manipulated at a time where really this communication somehow are often leading people in so many different directions. So education is so important, and we all know. At the same time, investments that are coming to the sector are not really close to where they would be. We still know that about 250 million children will not be setting a foot in their classroom. And that is terrible because that is their passport to a better future that is somehow denied to them. And this is why I very much count on your support, on support of all the young leaders and of the young people in general in each and every country to really urge your politicians, your global leaders, etc., to understand that not investing in education is really depriving the next generation to their passport for a better future. And one of your youth leaders just a few minutes before, he mentioned that the African Union has declared 2024 the year of education. I hope that this will really help us, put the spotlight on how important this priority is. We like to see that we will continue this conversation with the G7 leaders so that the leaders of the more mature economies or better off countries, they will really continue the push on supporting the sector. But we really need the support and the attention of all of you. I mean, investing in education is so important to solve or to contribute to solve all the crises that you have been very rightly so listing, in all your speeches, in all your conversation, and in your top priorities. So we are with you, and we are so happy that GPE can be of help to make your voice heard on such an important topic.
Thank you so much, Laura. Now I would like to pass the mic on to you, Janet, on why do you think investing in education is crucial?
First of all, it's such a pleasure to see so many of you, some familiar faces and some I haven't met before, but I love the spirit in the room. I love the spirit that young people have. And taking leadership from your perspective is probably one of the biggest things that can propel change in the world. Bear with me, my voice is a bit hoarse because I have a bit of a sore throat, but I hope you can hear me well. I'd love to echo what Laura has said about the passport to a better life. Investing in education, I've seen firsthand what keeping children out of class does. In the center that I run, there's been a lot of students who fall pregnant simply because they were locked out of an education. And that has a ripple effect in so many other crises. Teen pregnancy affects so many other facets of life. Further out in Tana River, which is one of the counties we have people who miss out on an education because of the climate crisis. We see a direct link where people are pulled out of class for their families to go look for greener pastures. So when you look at all of these issues and these global crises, whether it's climate, whether it's reproductive health and rights, whatever it is, a lot of the time it's interconnected with education. And so investing in education is so fundamental in being able to address some of these larger issues. And I really hope we can get to a point where world leaders, where leaders across the board can begin to understand that unless you prioritize education, you're kind of setting the clock back. Yes, you want a climate safe world. Yes, you want an environmentally safe world. You want safety and women's and girls' rights. You want all this amazing access, which we all deserve. How are you going to address that if you're not first addressing putting knowledge into the hands of the very people who can reverse a lot of the damage that's already been done? So I would say it's a little bit of a no-brainer. And what we really need to do is push intentionally, effectively, consistently, draw the linkages, tell the stories. Storytelling is also a really powerful tool in which we can showcase the importance of investing in education. But more than anything, is to draw the line between what the lack of education and how that feeds in to the greater crises across the world. A lot of us have seen it firsthand. And so even as we continue to push for access to education, it's extremely important to push for investment in education to be able to facilitate progress, because without progress, then we simply can't be having the conversations around improving aspects of the world in which we live in. And so that's why it's important to make a case to invest in education. And Neha, I also wanted to ask you a question. I wanted to turn this around because this is essentially your day, all of you who are leading this conversation, and how you think youth can be involved in ensuring increased investment in education. How do you think that can be done?
Thank you, Janet. I truly believe, as a member of the youth and youth generally, we hold a lot of power. Youth can play a pivotal role in advocating for increased investment in education through various channels. Firstly, we can and we should engage in advocacy and awareness campaigns, utilize social media, community events, and personal stories to emphasize the profound impact of education on our lives. Actively participating in community organizations, school boards, or local government meetings allows youth to voice their concerns directly and advocate for increased funding at the grassroots levels, where it is the most crucial. I also believe engaging with policymakers is another effective avenue. It is difficult to get a hold of them at times, but you, as a member of youth, we should participate in meetings, write letters, and organize discussions with our elected officials to convey the importance of education funding. Leveraging technology and social media platforms amplifies the voices of youth, allowing for the creation of online campaigns and sharing of informative content to reach a broader audience. Gathering and presenting data on the positive outcomes of education investment strengthens the case for increased funding. We should contribute to conduct research showcasing the long-term benefits of investing in education. This should be done either locally or globally to the best of our ability to, like I said, strengthen the case and show the results of the past that have happened due to funding. But the most important of it all is what we're doing today. That is what I truly believe. I think we all need to come together. This is not an issue that can simply be solved by one group in our society. We all must come together, especially the youth, connect globally and convey our message in that manner so that policymakers get more of a push from our side, and truly just try our best to work towards a world that is sustainable and equitable for all, no matter where you find yourself in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neha. Thank you, Laura and Jeanette, for speaking on the importance of investing in education. There is no doubt that education gives us the agency as young people, as children, to thrive in an ever-changing world. And there is no sustainable development, just like you've mentioned, without quality education. And quality education definitely requires quality financing. And now that we're done with the beachside chat, we're now going to do something exciting. The Pass the Mic session will touch on key thematic interventions on the learning crisis and cross-cutting themes. Tendai, you now have the mic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tim. Greetings, everyone. My name is Tendai Kunyelesa. I'm a GP youth leader from Zimbabwe. So today I'll be speaking about nutrition and education. So in Zimbabwe, the status of nutrition and education has been a mixed bag with both progress and challenges. So regarding nutrition in Zimbabwe and other neighboring African countries, they have made significant strides in addressing malnutrition and food security issues. The government, along with international organizations and other NGOs, they have implemented various programs to improve access to nutritious food, especially for the vulnerable populations such as children. Overall, while progress has been made in addressing nutrition and education in Zimbabwe, there are still challenges that need to be addressed, like having strong monitoring team for these programs, because I've noticed that sometimes such programs, they end up being diverted for other initiatives or other programs like political campaigns. So efforts from the governments and international organizations and other NGOs, they need to continue focusing on improving access to nutritious food and enhancing the quality of education for all. I will now pass the mic to Rose. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, really great to be here. My name is Rose Kopsinga. I'm from Uganda, and I'm here to speak about education systems that integrate climate justice. We've all heard that education is the key to success, but we also know that many young children, many girls, many young boys in rural areas, in slum areas, in refugee camps, and the climate migrants cannot access education, cannot access, leave alone decent education, but education. And it is a shame that the challenges that we are having right now, even where countries do not prioritize climate justice, is because of the inadequacy of the education system. So we need an education system that is not only focused on sharing knowledge, but creating leaders that are environmentally friendly, creating leaders that are focused on social justice and environmental justice. We have so many young people, so many graduates in Uganda that are jobless, that are unemployed. And that is because the education system just focused on throwing information, and the education system is not revolutionary. We need that revolution, the education system imparting green skills, imparting entrepreneurship, green entrepreneurship, vocational skills into young people, not only creating green jobs, but also creating a future that we want. And to wrap up, the education system that we envision, we young people, we envision, it is presented in the 10 points that my friends and colleagues have already presented. From the floods happening in Uganda, happening in Rwanda, happening in Pakistan or Libya, the education system cannot cover that at the moment. And that is why I'm calling for revolution. I'm calling for everyone rising up, raising their hand, and ensuring that we transcend traditional boundaries, we integrate green skills, inclusivity, economic and environmental literacy, and climate justice as cornerstones of education, as cornerstones of transforming lives and the very fabric of our societies. And I'll pass the mic to Neil.
Hi everyone, greetings. I'm Neil Sestra, GP Youth Leader from Nepal. Globally, an estimated 240 million children live with disabilities, but shockingly, 49% of them have never had an opportunity to attend the school. Even those who have access to the schools, they are also facing obstacles to receive inclusive and quality education. There remains a prevalence of misconception that children with disabilities are incapable of learning. As we celebrate International Children's Day today, I wish to emphasize all the stakeholders that everyone possesses the learning abilities and everyone can learn based on their capabilities. Investment in inclusive education should not be seen as the expense but rather than an invest. It is also essential to remember that the cost of exclusion is much more higher than the cost of inclusion. Thus, let us not to delay in investing in inclusive education. Development of accessible and inclusive infrastructures and reading materials, enhancement of teachers' capacity, creating and promoting inclusive teaching learning materials and methodologies, and comprehensive awareness on inclusive education, as well as the meaningful participation of children with disabilities across all the educational activities and education talks are pivotal actions needed at this juncture. Thus, hence, I'd like to strongly urge all the stakeholders to ensure required investment in these areas. Only after then we can envision the world where everyone has the inclusive, equitable, and accessible education for all. Now, I'd like to pass the mic to Njumi Victorian from Cameroon.
Hi everyone, my name is Victorian and I'm a Cameroonian, a young GPA leader. Today, I want to let you know why gender and education plays a key role in the empowerment of women and girls. Education brought in the perspective of a girl about the role that she can play, provides a key space, often is the only space, for meeting peers, mentors, and role models, and open new spaces for an empowered girl to act in. Reach out and influence others. Unique to education is the fact that once you have gained it, it cannot be taken away from you. Thinking of all these, wouldn't it be amazing to have a society where every girl child and young women can stay in school and be empowered? I call on every government leader to join forces with me as we struggle for a better future. Thank you very much. I'm passing the mic to Samuel.
I think semi-internet connection is really bad. So I think Seme's internet is a bit bad. We'll come back in a minute to Seme. For now, I'll pass the mic on to Arisa.
She asked me to give 25, but I had the 20,000, so I gave you the 20,000. Where is she? What are that? What I pay 25, what I pay 20, how much are you supposed to be earning?
Hi, Arisa.
Hello, bonjour and ciao, everyone. My name is Arissa Roy, and I'm an Indo-Canadian youth activist currently studying in Northern Italy. As a teenager who has grown up witnessing the impact of lack of accessible mental health services, I now believe more than ever that prioritizing mental health in education is not just an agenda item, it's a fundamental necessity. Our world is experiencing another crisis, seeing more than 4 in 10 students feeling persistently sad or hopeless, and nearly 1/3 experiencing poor mental health just this year. As a cause, we must seamlessly integrate psychological services into education to foster a safe space for students and educators to access these vital tools stigma-free. This is just as important as having textbooks readily available on shelves. When going about addressing this section of the 10-point plan, we must focus on equitability and not just equality. We must recognize and address the diverse needs of those who face additional challenges. This includes girls, refugee and displaced youth, young persons with disabilities, Indigenous youth, at-risk boys, and gender minorities. Each group requires tailored and targeted support, and leaders must invest in working with communities to ensure their unique needs are met. Lastly, for those who question the importance of mental health advocacy, let me remind you that this work creates a ripple effect. When one struggles with mental health, it impacts their self-esteem, hindering their performance in school and overall ability to excel positively. On the contrary, when a child is made to feel capable and cared for, their potential to make a difference in their lives and in the world increases exponentially. Now, let me leave you with this consideration. What kind of world do we want to create for generations to come? The choice is ours to make. Thank you, and I would now like to pass the mic to Diana.
Thank you, Arisa. So I will talk a little bit about decolonizing education. So for decolonizing education means also transformation. So for these to happen, I think we must deconstruct education systems and budgets that are driven by Western and Eurocentric policies that correspond to successful models from other regions, but that may not be necessarily adapted to the different regions, as for example, the Latin American region, which is a region that is unstable and changeable. So in order for transformation to happen, investment also needs to happen. So as a youth, I completely share the 4S initiative of GCE, which is the share, increase in the size, the scrutiny, and sensitivity of education budgets. I think we can achieve the education we want, which is an accessible, relevant education that promotes thinking, accelerates sustainability, addresses climate change, and eliminates inequalities, racism, and exclusion. So I think we need interculturality, inclusion, gender perspective, a holistic financial approach, and the incorporation of new knowledge as outlined in public policies that will be only achieved through critical pedagogy with the purpose of forming changing agents, thinkers, innovators, and transformers of society rather than mere knowledge recipients. So thank you very much. And now I will pass the mic to my colleague Ansel.
Thank you so very much. Hope you all can hear me. This is Anzal Abbas Jafri, youth leader from Pakistan. I'm going to talk about global digital workplace market and the importance of it. So in 2023, the global digital workplace market was valued at $40 billion. The fast-paced global economy highlights the need for increased focus on the digital future of work. And it is important to list down few key challenges, which includes risk and liability distribution, algorithm transparency on digital platforms, data ownership concerns, limited collective voice, representation, and bargaining power. All of these issues are central to youth issues these days because the youth are part of the global digital economy, and they are continued. Their representation is continue to be increasing. So as a youth leader, I concentrate on enhancing civic engagement skills for children in low-income schools through my social enterprise called Bagh Sakina, which works in Pakistan mainly. So we just ran a dedicated program for digital rights awareness among children, which can probably help to cater to the third challenge, which is limited collective voice representation and bargaining power of the youth employees working in the digital workplace. Therefore, lastly, I urge policymakers to engage in extensive consultations with the youth to equip them with the tools to navigate these challenges. Of course, the economy is diverse. There are people from diverse backgrounds working in the digital workplace. Therefore, it is not possible for policymakers to make a monolith policy, but it is important to start the consultations and the dialogue in order to come up to some solution for all the challenges which I highlighted. Thank you so very much. Now I pass the mic back to the moderators.
Thank you so much, Ansal. And I have the privilege to represent Seme because he has internet connection issues, but I'll be representing Seme on this Pass the Mic session. Greetings to you all. I am Seme, a GP leader from South Sudan, currently living in a refugee camp in Uganda. I'm here not just as a speaker, but as a representative of a generation of young people who have grown up in refugee camps, where 300 pupils sit in one class for a lesson which is beyond a teacher's capacity to handle. If education is a universal human right, why are we an exception? All children deserve to be treated with equal rights, but refugees don't enjoy the same privilege. As we celebrate International Children's Day today, I wish to emphasize to all the stakeholders that education should be made accessible for all in paper and in action. Education in emergency settings is a priority and not an option. Hence, I strongly urge all leaders to invest in education in emergencies. Thank you so much. And now I'll pass the mic back to Aisha.
Thank you so much, Temilade, for reading Seme's powerful words. And thank you to all of our incredible youth speakers for sharing your perspective on these issues and passionately advocating for education systems that are resilient and responsive to issues that exist outside of the sectors. As some of our speakers mentioned, we risk losing more and more learners without immediate action from every single sector like climate, nutrition, and technology. Education cannot be viewed in a silo anymore, and all of the youth speakers emphasize that. Now, I'm really excited to introduce Victory Osas, an incredible storyteller and spoken word artist from Nigeria, who will perform for us a creative piece about education. Welcome, Victory.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be contributing and lending my voice to this amazing event in the capacity of a spoken word poet. So, according to UN estimates, about 2.2 million people were displaced in the northeastern part of Nigeria as at December 2021. Now, 57% of these people are children who are supposed to be in school. And this is attributed largely to the ongoing crisis in the north. I couldn't help but wonder what happens to the education of children in the IDP camps. What happens after a crisis, after the bombs go off, after the fires stop burning, after the flood dries up? What happens after they leave? After the charred bodies are cleared from the streets? After the survivors finally find a place to sleep? And all that's left of the terror ice giant's footprints? What happens to the dreams, to the young eyes that once reached for the skies, to the small hands that reach for the skies? What about their amateur art designs and unfinished equations from the assignments they were solving last night? What happens after the storm? After we paddle the kids to a safety camp? Do they turn their books to pillows, chew their pens? Do they swallow? What happens when the morning comes? After the hashtag stops singing and the world moves on, do we as world leaders also drop the ball, forgetting the true solution lies in quality education? Now, has anybody ever stopped to wonder why Boko Haram, the Taliban, and all the others go about burning buildings and education centers? Why does a school even have to suffer? The answer lies in this truth, that the pen is still mightier than the sword. And so they shiver every time they remember that education will break their shackles off the nation. And just in case this isn't still clear, hold on, let me paint a picture. Somewhere in the world, a bomb goes off, a boy's dream is cut short, he roams the street he doesn't fit in, after a while he joins them too. Can you not see how this is an endless loop? In Syria, Afghanistan, Pakistan, many children cannot even go to school. They are forced into adult labor, either out in the world or in an older man's room. Tell me, why do we treat education like it's a luxury? Like it's a pretty treat to cut down when the times are hard? Do we not know that this is the ladder that helps nations stand? When will we take a stand to ensure every child this right? So today, I raise my hands with leaders all over the world, with Temilade Salami and Abbas Jafari, to say that education is a right and not a luxury. And in this fight, no one will be left behind. And when we say quality education, we mean a curriculum with diversity in its belly, where the voices of minority are not silenced between the pages, where our history is not somehow lost in translation, where A is for apple, but B is for butter, where C is for Chale, and the blind also have a place. So I raise my hands with leaders all over the world, with Temilade Salami and Abbas Jafari, to say that education is a right and not a luxury. And in this fight, not one child will be left behind. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Victory, for that wonderful presentation. And thank you for lending your voice and, more importantly, bringing us to the reality of what's happening around us, because sometimes we tend to live in a bubble. My question here to everyone on this call, are we going to drop the ball? And as we all know, there is a global crisis at hand, and education has been identified as a crucial tool to solving the climate crisis. As a climate education professional, I am particularly excited for our next beachside chat on climate change and education. I'm happy to invite Didakos Jules, the Director General, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and Valentine, a GPE youth leader from Kenya, for this chat. I will now pass the mic on to Valentine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Temilade, for that powerful introduction. Yes, we are indeed going to a very, very interesting segment right now. And thank you, Victory, for your lovely word. The pen is still mightier than the sword. I really loved that. I now take this opportunity to invite Dr. Didakos Jules, the Director General of the Eastern Caribbean States. Dr. Didakos, how are ministers of education in the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States able to achieve resilient school systems despite climate-related disruptions? I invite you, the podium is yours now.
Hi, thank you very much, Valentina. Pleasure meeting you and being on this panel with you. We've always believed in the OECs that the most important voices on matters pertaining to education are the voices of youth. In fact, in every sector, the voices of the key stakeholders matter the most. So really grateful to engage with you on this dialogue. With respect to the situation with climate change, I would like to paint a general picture about the Eastern Caribbean to help. And if you allow me to share my screen, I will. Yes, can you see my screen? So the Caribbean has faced a number of challenges. You can see here the map of the Eastern Caribbean. And all of those countries in green or lighter green are members of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. And we have faced, climate change is not just a general challenge for us on a generalized term. It represents serious challenges in many areas, from rising sea levels, warmer oceans, as the graphic here shows. Well, the permafrost thing does not apply to us, but higher temperatures, storms. The Caribbean has been one of those regions of the world that is most vulnerable to tropical storms and hurricanes. And you can see here represented the map of the incidence of hurricanes across the Eastern Caribbean and the whole Caribbean Sea basin area from way back. And this really shows you the challenges that we face. Notwithstanding that, the storms have devastating impacts on education. This picture here is a picture of a infant school, and you can see the aftermath of flooding and hurricanes. So the danger, not just to the infrastructure, but more importantly to the lives of our school children, is something that is very dramatically exposed here. In terms of our response to climate change and also to COVID, because we don't see things in terms of a separation of responsibilities or challenges. Climate change is related to health. It is also, in many ways, with climate change, the increasing hot weather, the cycles of hot and cold, drought and flood, all of these things impact the health of our people as well. And we think that there is although the science may not have conclusively determined that, we believe that there's an integral relationship between climate change and health issues. The whole COVID-19 pandemic was not accidental, and it had serious challenges to the system in terms of school closures, affecting student enrollment, teachers availability. Performance has been a big issue. All of the examination bodies show serious reversals in performance, loss of learning in the region as a result of that. And the response of our governments to that have taken many forms. We've had to pivot from learning face-to-face to online learning, and a number of initiatives were done, not just in terms of a rapid provision of devices and the paradigm shift to content online, but more importantly, the training of teachers in order to enable them to deal with online learning in situations of disaster, whether we're talking COVID or we're talking hurricanes or other climatic disaster situations. So the governments have undertaken a number of measures that have sought to address these challenges. Yeah, so this is what we've done with respect to trying to do it. What we've done is looking at a response and recovery strategy that is more focused and a more strategic approach to our education strategy, taking into account these new conditions and challenges. We had to put in place an academic recovery program that helps students to make up for the loss in learning. As I said earlier, teacher training in more effective pedagogy and content development. The distribution of devices was an integral part of that, because going forward, online is definitely going to be a permanent feature of the education system, but that opens up new possibilities for how we can enable students to pursue their areas of interest. Then there's the issue of digital content. If we distribute devices by themselves need internet, and that's where you can see here the GigaConnect, every school being connected to the internet. But a device connected to the internet is not much use unless the content that it can access assists learning. So developing instructional content, digital libraries, and importantly, one of the transformational things we've done is to use students' own work as part of that digital content. So for example, where we've done programs online to help improve reading ability, we've encouraged students to now start to write and publish their own books online. And these now become part of the digital library. That has been one of the most exciting things coming out of this experience. And also we've had a weekly radio and television program curated and run by students themselves as the reporters and as the designers of the program to speak about their issues of concern to them, the learning challenges, any matter of concern to students. It is really a packaged TV program that the students themselves create, and it is distributed across all of the Eastern Caribbean member states. So that in summary is how we've responded, not just to climate change, but to the concatenation of disasters that we have faced.
Well, thank you so much. This is really, really, really insightful. It's good seeing the decision makers really walk the talk and do what they're really supposed to do. And it's really, really insightful and engaging. Thank you so much, Dr. Didakas Jules, for that powerful presentation. I now move ahead.
Can I just add one last thing quickly? It's something that struck me. You know, we talk about climate change and disasters and so on, but there is something on the global scene right now that I think is an unacknowledged reality that is perhaps even bigger than climate change and disaster. And that is the unacknowledged threat of war and conflict. We see what's happening in many parts of the world. And I have this quotation here from Montessori, who says that everyone talks about peace, but no one teaches peace. In this world, you are educated for competition, and competition is the beginning of every war. Now, there's a tendency in education, whenever there's a problem in society, people usually advocate, oh, we should create a subject to deal with that. So let's create a subject. And then you find the curriculum gets overburdened. So I think that the challenge here is not to create new subjects, but to look at what is the radical transformation of education we need to do. What we spoke to earlier, letting students, empowering students to speak for themselves and to play a more active role in their own education is one critical step. The other is taking an ecosystemic approach to things. We cannot do things in silos. So rather than just look at, okay, because there's so much war in the world, let's create education for peace. Yes, education for peace should be part of the normal process of education. So rather than it being subjectized, how do we ensure that education is conducted in such a way that students learn to relate to each other, learn to deal with differences, learn to navigate and negotiate differences peacefully without violence in the classroom? If we teach non-violence in the classroom, then that permeates to non-violence in the community, non-violence in the society, peace among nations. So I think that is an area that we need to really address our minds. And at the end of the day, education for us is about three things. It's about knowledge, providing everyone having access to knowledge, the repertoire of human knowledge, character, developing the type of person that you need to be a real contributor to humanity, and thirdly, competence, the skills and competencies you require to be successful as the world grows and evolves. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. It's been insightful. Thank you so much for the comments and the remarks that you've shared to us. I'd now go ahead to talk about some of the innovative solutions that young people are taking. Distinguished guests, fellow young minds, and all those concerned about the fate of our planet. I stand here today as a representative of a generation that has inherited a world facing an unprecedented climate crisis. We are the youth, the inheritors of this planet, and we refuse to be passive bystanders in this decline. The world we face is one scared by the relentless march of climate change. The once pristine landscapes are now marred by the effects of rising temperatures, extreme weather patterns, and dwindling biodiversity. The future we inherit is painted with the ominous hues of environmental degradation, a future that threatens the foundations of our existence. Yet, amidst this daunting scenario, a beacon of hope emerges, the unwavering resolve of our young people across the globe. We, the youth, are not merely spectators to this unfolding crisis. We are the active agents of climate change and the embodiment of innovation and resilience. Our voices, once dismissed as whispers, are now echoing across the globe, demanding action from those in power. We are organizing climate strikes. We are galvanizing millions to this cause. We are spearheading renewable energy projects, and I have seen this even happening in Kenya. That is then we are illuminating a path towards a sustainable future. We are championing the zero waste movement, refusing to burden our planet with excessive consumption. We are planting trees. Just recently in Kenya, we had a tree planting day, and young people really contributed to this. And this helps to restore the balance of nature, one sapling at a time. We're establishing climate innovation hubs and harnessing technology to tackle environmental challenges. We are participating in global climate conferences, making our voices heard on the world stage. And at this point, I would like to really appreciate GPE, because this year I'll be participating in COP28, just talking about the voices in the grassroots. That's why we are doing this as young people. And these actions, though seemingly insignificant, are the seeds of a revolution. And this is a revolution that is driven by the collective will of a generation determined to salvage our planet. We are not merely fighting for our own future. We are fighting for the future of generations to come. And we understand that the challenges we face are immense, and that the path ahead is full of obstacles. But we are not deterred by this. We are fueled by the unwavering belief in our ability to shape a better future, a future where the air we breathe is clean, the water we drink is pure, and the planet is teeming with life. We call upon the leaders of today, the decision makers who hold the reins of power, to recognize the urgency of our situation. We implore you to heed our call, to join us in this collective effort to save our planet. The time for complacency is over. The time for action is now. And we, the youth of the world, stand united, ready to shoulder the responsibility of shaping the future. We are not inheritors of a broken planet. We are the builders of a new world, a world where humanity and nature coexist in harmony. Thank you so much.
Thank you both for those powerful words and calls to action. As was mentioned, climate change has multifaceted impacts on learning, health, and well-being, but we do have innovative youth-led solutions as well as government-led solutions that need to be invested in and scaled. The longer we wait to invest in climate education and climate resilient school infrastructure, the more we lose. Next, I want to invite Motunrayo, GPE Youth Leader from Nigeria, to read some the comments we received on Zoom and social media. Welcome, Motunrayo.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for that introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're joining in from, and all protocols duly observed. My name is Motunrayo Fatoke, and I'm a GPE youth leader from Nigeria. And I'm just going to be sharing some highlights from participants all over the world who joined the live session, from YouTube to LinkedIn to the Zoom call currently. And I just want to appreciate all our speakers, our panelists for that inspiring and invigorating session, and to our delectable moderators, thank you so much. And so I'm just going to briefly just share the comments made in the sessions. So someone from India mentioned that when promoting education for all, we should not only promote education for children, but for adults and women. And then we also had Women Muhammad from LinkedIn. She mentioned how students in Comoros Island are still recovering from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And then we had someone who shared a very powerful quote on YouTube that resonated so well with me. He said, his name is Noble C. Joshua. He said, unless we prioritize education, we are setting the clock back. We need education that not only creates knowledge, but creates a generation of social impact actors, which I believe is so, so true. And so before I hand over the mic to Aisha back, I just really want to implore all global leaders around the world, as well as young people around the world, to continue to raise their hands for education and continue to insert education at the center of all our conversation, because it's the key to unlocking big change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Motunrayo, for reading those comments. And wow, thank you to all of our speakers today who are working tirelessly to transform education at a time when it feels like the world is on fire with too many complex challenges that children have been unjustly forced to inherit. While leaders have committed to protecting children's right to safe and high-quality education, we want more than just words and gestures. Young people like our speakers today are crying out for their freedom to learn and realize their full potential. And as you've heard today, they know the way forward. They have innovative ideas to address these interconnected crises. It's up to world leaders now to listen and act. On World Children's Day, we recognize that we are far from where we want to be for the children of the world, and we hope today's conversations and our 10-point plan serve as hope and guidance for an education system responsive to the needs of every single child. I want to thank everyone here and those on YouTube and other social media for joining us, and I'll pass it off to Temilade to give her closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Aisha, and all our amazing speakers and panelists. Personally, this session has shown me that we can't be passive about quality education. It is a collaborative effort. It is also obvious that young people are not just spectators, like Valentine said, but actors and agents for change. And if education is not involved, it is not sustainable. And lastly, it is not time to drop the ball, not now or later. To close this inspiring and invigorating session, I would now like to invite the ICANN kids for their powerful performance. Thank you.
Education can't wait, said by Finchurch when you joke around, you did a tale about one nation. Our being there comes for a purpose, for a reason. Remember our suffering when we are running to Uganda.
For you to be a doctor, a teacher, Savi, Kedena Sibuliko Sijara, Kalam the bigger serious, Bikonana superior, Kanana Tala senior. Diazaman Mafia, we have to blow the trumpet of success in respect, Leal. Take a book, take a pen, sister, the secret school. We need to run and fight for your future.
Want to be a teacher, you know, so don't you need education.